Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
Welcome to another episode of the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. My name is Alex Morgan. I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP. And on this episode, we welcome Damon Nichols, the best-selling author of the Breakout Blueprint and host of the Breakout Podcast. Damon is an entrepreneur, author, and public speaker who has overcome tremendous adversity in his life. He has a wealth of knowledge in mastering mindset, resilience, and personal growth. Welcome, Damon. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast and the show today.
Well, thanks for letting me be here. I'm honored to be a guest on your podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much. So we were talking a bit kind of what direction we wanted to take this, and we were thinking we would focus on some really good solutions for people. So you've been through quite a bit, some traumas and things that you said, and I've heard you a few times say, like, as long people can really achieve what they want, as long as they kind of put in the hard work. So when you say hard work, what are you kind of referring to where people can actually get what they want? How do you see that?
Hard work can come in so many different forms, but I think just taking the hard things, overcoming those things, not procrastinating, and, that's kind of one aspect, but like when you want to really go farther in life, you really have to, the hard work is getting down and looking at the traumas that's causing you or holding you back. Those are mental blocks, or I call them gatekeepers, and they're things that are put on you as a child that you take with you as an adult. And, how do you react when something bad happens? How do you react when somebody cuts you off in traffic? How do you react? Those are all, those trauma responses. And that's the hard work, is getting down and saying, why did I say this to this person? Why did I react that way? And why is it making me feel the way I do? That really is the hard work, because we avoid that stuff. We sit on top of the surface and we brush it off. That's the real hard work.
Yeah, because I work with a lot of people, and one of the things we focus on is getting rid of negative emotions. And when you're talking about kind of pushing stuff down, a lot of times people, those emotions come up throughout the day, but they repress them. And over time, then it gets harder to actually release them. So you also talk a lot about when you are stuck or you're procrastinating, like you mentioned, it all kind of starts in your mind. So can you explain that to people, how you look at that so they can hear it for themselves, how they can actually use their mind to, progress and get further?
So we get stuck. We tend to, it comes down to the belief system. We've been taught this, and it comes down to, what did I have to do as a child to be this? Or what do I need to do to feel important? Or why do I act this way? Why do I have to put up a wall? Why do I have to put on a macho image? Why do I have to do this? And it really comes down to identity. And whenever we don't feel like we're seen or we're noticed, or we don't feel important, that's where, we get stuck, and we do things that are counterproductive, or things that will push us away from other people. And we do it without even knowing it. So I think being able to identify that and just work on that is where that's the only time when you can start growing.
Interesting. And in your best-selling book, the Breakout Blueprint, you talk about going through some things and having like a great escape. So when did you notice like it was time for you to have this great escape? And how can other people maybe notice, like, you know what, I finally like reached the bottom. How can I do something about this?
Yeah. So I spent so many years just going through these same cycles and of, getting clean and doing good for a while, until finally, once I got to a point, I was in my mid 40s. I didn't like who I'd become. I didn't like anything about myself. And that's when I decided that I wanted to become a completely different person. And to me, it's what do I got to do to make sure that I don't ever go down those roads again? You know, I was getting clean and getting sober, and I knew that at that point, it's like, I don't ever want to go back to that again, because every cycle that I went through was worse and worse and worse. But then the intentionality, that's what it took, was me being intentional and being like, okay, I got to find the right people to put in my life, and I got to cut all of the people off in my life that aren't serving me or that are bringing me down. So those are the biggest things. And it's hard for us. We have friends, we have people that we've known. I've had to, cut those people off, people I've known for, most of my life. And if they're doing those things, you can't grow if you have that stuff around you.
So now what type of people are you surrounding yourself with that are helping you continuously and consistently move forward? How do you kind of build your circle now?
So I keep my circle small. I have the people that push me the most. Jake is my fitness partner. He's my business partner. He's done CrossFit for years. He's my coach and my mentor, and he holds me accountable for that all the time. So I run all the time, and I surround myself with people that are very fitness oriented, and that they're also like entrepreneurs. I go to a lot of entrepreneur events, and I find the people in those events that are, they cut all of the stuff out in their life that isn't serving them. They don't have bad habits. They talk differently. They go through life differently, and they have different and intentional, meaningful relationships, especially with like their significant other, and it shows. So those are the kind of people that I want in my life, that are only going to drive me to become better.
So you've talked about bringing other people into your life, and they have other strong relationships as well. And you talked about being really intentional. So what are some other things that you've kind of brought in your life that are showing you that, hey, I'm really being intentional about personal success, relationships, and things like this? Do you have any other practices that you can share? I know you mentioned fitness. Maybe that has something to do with it as well.
Well, a big one for me is being on time, showing up, doing what you say. If you tell somebody you're going to be there tomorrow, you make sure that you're there on time. And that's probably my biggest one, is just the intentionality. That says a lot about a person, how they treat their spouse, their wife, their husband. That's a big one, because I see that where, they may have a good relationship, but yet they'll want to go hang out with their buds and sit at the bar with their wives at the hotel. I saw that, and I'm like, okay, that's not what I want in my life, So those are things. And the more you grow, the more you start, you can spot that stuff out. The way people are with other people when you want to help other people become better, and you can drop the ego and boost other people, because not a lot of people have that ability to lift another person up. And, because everybody always wants to be noticed or seen or whatever. And it comes down to the identity.
And so what made you kind of want to boost other people up then, or help others in this way, like you're talking about?
Well, as I started to see the psychology of all of it, that was one aspect of it, because I know that like everybody's always me. They want to be noticed and they want to be seen, but a person will gain more favor and become a lot more, somebody that people want to be around when you start putting others first. So I've really started to practice that in what I do, is putting others first and not having to be noticed and seen. And then you become confident in who you are. When you start becoming confident in who you are, you don't need to let people know who you are. You can be all right with sitting back and being like, I don't need to, I don't need to let anybody know. I can make you look good. I can bring you up, or I can help you, because everybody likes that. When somebody makes them feel good, I've really tried to practice that in my life, is how can I brighten somebody's day or make them feel good or better about themselves without having to, look at me.
When you're doing that, what are some of the results you see then? Like other people feeling good around you and really just being intentional. What are some of the results you see lifting others up? Like, does it help your business, your relationships? What are you seeing there?
Well, it helps everything. If I'm in a room, it can change the whole mood of the room or the tone of the room. But I start developing longer lasting relationships, and it just, I go through life better. And whenever I know that like I'm helping people, and even in a bad situation, how I react to somebody that's angry or irritated or coming at me, when I really change my mindset and how I react to a situation, it changes so many different things in your life, and it has a big effect in every way. And the more you do that, the more it will change you and it will change your heart. So that's the change, is just because having a internal change.
Yeah, that's what I work with a lot of people on, is creating internal change, and then they start to see the reality around them really change. So is that how you kind of see that too? Everyone has to change on the inside then?
Well, one of my biggest, I would almost say is my elevator pitch, is I help people master their internal world so they can dominate the external world, because it all comes down to how you react, and the work that you do in here is going to dictate what's going on outside, because everything on the outside, you can view that however you want, bad, good, whatever. And the more work that you do inside, the less negative feelings you have toward things that happen on the outside. It's just all a mindset.
And so someone who's not sure where to start on doing this inner work, what would you suggest that they do?
I would suggest finding a mentor. You find a mentor that's doing the things or can help you, achieve that kind of thing. And it may be just searching out the right person. That's probably the first place to start, is finding somebody to mentor you and help you, because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know until somebody from the outside can be like, hey, this is what's going on. I can see this differently. Change of perspective.
So do you have a story that you can share with us about, maybe when you found your first mentor and what that did for you, or maybe you have one now that you would really like to touch on?
So right now, my mentor is Nick Santanastasso. He is such a motivational, transformational leader. I don't know if you know who he is, but he doesn't have any legs, and he's only got one arm and one finger. Yeah, when I started, I've gone to some events that I've seen him speak, and I was like, man, I want to speak like this guy. I want to be able to move people like this guy. And so I started going to events that he went to, and we talked several times, and he said, okay, I'm going to start this mentorship program. So I got involved with it, and it's taught me so much, and it's the avenue that I want to go down. And this guy has taken time and condensed it down, and he's taught me how to, take all of I have all of this stuff going on and just that I could just put out there. But when you can take that and chunk it down, and you don't need to, spew it out there, because it's like drinking from a fire hose. But yes, Nick is probably one of my best, my mentor right now. I've followed a lot of people, like Grant Cardone. If you're into, the real estate, these are people that, Mark Evans, these are guys that I go to their events regularly. Mike Fallett, he's, if you want to write a book, this is the guy. And these are people that I have in my life. I go to events with them. I do life with them, because they have this level of personal growth that I, that's what I want in my life.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. It sounds like he has a super inspiring story as well. When you look at personal growth, how do you kind of look at that? You say you really want personal growth, you aspire to really do that. How do you see personal growth? What does that mean to you specifically?
Well, I believe personal growth is getting rid of the things that are holding you back. When you can look back and say, I'm in a different place than I was a month ago. I'm not living the human story. I'm not repeating these same things. I'm not talking about the same thing that I was talking about 6 months ago. And the conversations no longer revolve around things that have, bad things that have happened. It's always conversations that are about what I'm doing in my life now to help other people or to be better, or, the conversation's different. And when you can continue to grow through that, I think that's what personal growth is about. Also finding that small circle of people and weeding out all of the things in your life that aren't serving you well anymore.
So what are some of the things that weren't serving you that you are so happy that you now got rid of so you can really focus on personal growth?
So for a long time, or for a few years, real estate, single family homes, it served me really well for a while. It was a good stepping stone and it got me to where I wanted to go. It was a good learning tool, but I've gotten rid of all of them because they were taking my time. They were holding me back. They were, they caused me a lot of frustration, and it wasn't, what I wanted to do on my journey, because my journey right now is to help others. I'm on a journey of try to help as many people as I can to break these mindsets. So that was one, but just the belief systems that I carried with me, as a child, I had to be a certain person to be looked at as the value. I had to let go of a lot of ego because I carried a lot of that around with me, this macho ego guy that, had these prison mentality that I had to get rid of that because, I had to lose that everybody's out to get me. Nobody's out to get me. Nobody cares. So like all of those belief systems, as I shed all of that in my life, I can truly start to live life to its fullest and not have to carry any of that.
So what are some empowering beliefs that you have now instead of the ones you had before, would you say?
I can transform people's lives. I have a lot to offer. Even though I've been through a lot of crap, I've seen some really, really dark areas. I don't have to live in that anymore, and maybe I can prevent somebody from doing that. But I also have learned a lot of things about, how to become successful in business that I have to offer people. So I believe I have things of value that I can offer people. So I don't, so I go through life not with this, how can I get or whatever, I want to give what I have now. My mindset has shifted on what can I give somebody value instead of, what can I get out of life?
Yeah, that's a huge mindset shift for a lot of people. A lot of people are, hey, me, what can I get? Like you kind of mentioned earlier. And really, we get what we want when we exchange value with another person. Like you said, going to events, you meet people. If you exchange value, you can really move forward. You mentioned that you can really help people have a successful business. So for someone, let's say just starting out, maybe listening or has a business and they're a solopreneur, what things have you gone through, or what can you suggest to them that are a couple big pieces of good knowledge that they could use to run a successful business?
Yeah, there's a lot in that area. If you're first starting out or trying to go from a 9 to 5, or you're not sure what to do with business, they have business funding that a lot of people don't know about that could get you some money. This one thing I didn't know about. You can go out and you can get, you can open banks and in business, names of business, and get some kind of business funding that will help you with what you want to do, especially like in the construction trade. There's a whole lot of little things there that can help you become better. But I think if you start getting employees to really take care of your employees, and for me, I work side by side with my employees a lot, and I don't ever ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do. And I never, if somebody makes a mistake, I don't point out their mistakes. I try to point out the good things that they do. I try to, showcase their talents. And So just working with people like that and learning how to communicate in the field that you're in and articulate what you know best. So that makes you, that gives you some credibility that you don't normally get. So the communication is probably, a really big one.
Yeah, that's one of the things I teach is being really conscious with the language that we use. You mentioned with the employees. So what are some ways that you kind of really build a good culture then that really builds trust? Because it sounds, just from the way you talk about it, sounds like your employees and yourself, you guys have a lot of trust in each other.
I work with my employees and that they're a very important part of my team, and we're a team. So like there's no heroes in construction. There's just not a one-man deal. And also nobody is above anybody else. Everybody may have different parts that they play, and some may be more favorable parts than to be an equal to them, and to, be able to lead from a point of not being basically like the one in charge. Even though I'm running it all, I try to lead as, okay, we're doing this together. And then I also, I try to take care of them as good as I can. We're on the road a lot. My guys are on the road. They're away from home a lot. So when we're out, I try to buy them lunch every day, take them out to do things. When we go bowling, we go wherever, whatever we can do to try to make their life as easy as possible. I see a lot of employers that they're, you guys are over here, you guys are over here. I try to make their stay as comfortable as possible. I really want to look out for their well-being. Growing up working for bigger companies and stuff, the bosses or the owners or whatever, they didn't have that same belief system, and I didn't like that. So I just knew that, what I want my employees to feel like they're right there with me.
And what results have you seen from that? The employees, like, do they stick around a while? There's low turnover. Yeah. How does that help your business, let's say?
Well, turnover in my business is, I have turnover, and it's hard in the construction business to hire people that don't have bad habits or don't have, finding people with driver's licenses is hard, that don't have these things. But most of my employees have been with me for quite a while. They appreciate what they have, and they work really hard, and they're willing to go out of their way for me, and they're trustworthy. Like, I can trust them. I trust them with a credit card. I trust them with my vehicles. I trust them with, so we have that, and that's huge. I think if you can't trust your employee with a credit card to go to another state and, not abuse that, it's big. So
awesome. So you have the construction company. It sounds like, how else are you, helping people? What other kind of businesses are you in where you're really seeing people get results?
So I had a restaurant, which I'm selling that. I just employed people, and seemed like no matter what I did there, I couldn't really. People didn't want to grow. They wanted a paycheck. I started putting together a course that's going to help people. It's going to teach people how to, go out, start their business, get the funding they need, find the people that find companies that will give them leads. I show them how to go out and get signed up to where all of the work will come to them. So that's basically what I try to do there. And I want to, go deeper into showing people how to invest their money and learn a different mindset. So it's kind of what I'm going with that.
That's awesome. And you said you're building the course now, or it's already up and running?
Yes. Okay. So I have a course there that's it's kind of that. This one's kind of like a mindset course that's kind of the beginning, and kind of teaching you how to change the mindset and go from, how do I, make some money and live, to changing your whole mindset on money, finances, and how you view yourself and how you view the world, and how you go about just, you're working in general. So that's part of the course, but as I develop it, I'm putting resources in there, because I I've done a lot of tax liens, and that's a really good investment, and it's a good way to start if you don't have a lot of money. So I kind of teach people how to do that, and then how to get into real estate, how to buy and sell real estate. And then as I go, I putting modules in there to show like deep dives on how to go find properties, deep dives on how to, do the rehabs and resell and all that. So it's all expanding and growing as I go. And so I have my wife involved with we're doing some relationship stuff and coaching with couples, and because we have a very successful and wonderful, meaningful relationship that we did for 10 years. So 10 years of now we have a wonderful relationship, and we're best friends. We do everything together.
So what changed from the kind of butting heads to, hey, let's have a meaningful relationship? It took work on both sides. What did you see?
Oh yeah, it took so much work, and it's never ending. It took her deciding, like, you know what, she was at the point where she's like, I'm done with you. I'm done with this crap. I'm going to change my life, and I don't care what you do. So when she started intentionally changing her life, it really made me intentionally start changing my life. And like all of this stuff happened, like there's so much that happened in like 2013, 2014, that just was, the catalyst for all of this. And I don't really want to go into any of those details now, but just working on how I can be a better husband and really looking at her needs, because it was always my needs. What do I need to feel good about myself? And I think that comes with everything. What I was saying is we have this feeling of like, I need to be looked at. I need to have my needs met. And just being able to step back and say, okay, what are her needs? If I can meet her needs, my needs will get met, and I don't need to go out and look. And that's where, the fighting in anything, in any aspect of your life, when you can meet others' needs, your needs will get met. That's the psychology behind it, that we go about the wrong way. We fight for what we need instead of, okay, how can I give you what you need? Because then in turn, I'll get back what I need.
Yeah, that makes us a really valuable person to be around, whether it's with our spouse and business. If we're essentially giving people what they need, we're going to make tons of money and tons of sales, build a huge team, all that as well. So I think we touched on a bunch of cool stuff here, Damon. If someone wants to, look into your course, or if they want to get your book or connect with you, I'll give you a chance now to kind of plug everything, and just so people can connect with you and, see even more what you're all about.
Yeah. So my website is damonnichols.com. That's where all of these resources are coming. I have a growth formula that I have on there, and it's kind of starts out with that, and it gets a little deeper. So damonnichols.com. I have an Instagram. It's Damon R. Nichols. I have Facebook, LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel that I post a lot of different mixture of stuff on there. If you're looking at seeing how buildings are built, I have a lot of that stuff there, but even the coaching. And so that's Damon Nichols, the Breakout Blueprint. And then the book is the Breakout Blueprint. I think that's about it. We have another website or another funnel for Celeste. It's growwithnichols.com. So that's if you're looking at, getting into, you want some help with the relationship stuff, relationship coaching. So those are all the places you can find me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Damon. I'll go ahead and put all this information in the description of the episode so people can easily find it and find you. Thanks so much for sharing your insights. I always learn a lot myself speaking to different people, so I really appreciate you coming on the show.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So thanks for listening. And wherever you listen to this podcast, please rate the podcast so it can get into the minds of more people. And I'd love to hear your feedback. And I hope to see you on the next episode.